Hey, love bugs. Y'all already know who this is. It's your girl, Lady LIP, and I am joined by three very special and, as you can see, distinguished gentlemen today. I usually allow them to do their own introductions, and I am going to start on my far right. I have
Mr. Mark Lewis,
boop, boop.
the oldest cousin of the bunch.
Yeah.
Charles Chandler.
And before I let you introduce yourself, the first time ever on Sentimentally Speaking, that is my fault because I made an assumption that Scoob is quiet and he's not, and he's here with us today.
Can I get the
Tell the folks who you are. You will, as soon as he say who he is.
Brandon Stanfield.
Brandon Stanfield. And I'm crediting Mark Lewis on that because I'm like, yo, cuz, I need a third member for this. Who can we call? He's like, Scoob. He like to talk. I was like, you sure? He's like, the way we text all day. I was like, done. I hit you up and you agree. So thanks for joining us. I really appreciate you being here. And I'm also going to circle back because we need a one-on-one segment too. And I know exactly what I want to talk about.
Okay, great. Can't wait.
Yes, thanks. So this segment today is my attempt at balancing the conversation. As you guys have watched, and I know you guys have all watched because you're very loyal viewers, last month I did a segment with the ladies and we dove into some sexual content topics and just got real intimate as it relates to sex and gave our feminine opinion on some of those things. And what I want to do now is do a male perspective, maybe not on the same exact questions, but something very similar. And I really think that not only can the women benefit from this segment and hearing a man's perspective, but also some of the young fellas who might be ready to explore their sexual encounters and openness there. And we definitely want anybody and everybody who can benefit from this conversation to tune in and have some takeaways. So without further ado, you guys ready?
Yes.
All right, so as you guys can see, I gave each of the fellas 2 cards, shush and shout. And as you may or may not remember from the last segment, the shout card is when they're going to speak up about something. The shush card is like, hey, I may not say anything, I'll keep my mouth shut on it. So I'm going to ask a series of questions and then ask them would they shush or shout, and then they'll hold up their card and give us their explanation or further commentary on that. So let's go. My first question. If your date lady doesn't like or want to perform oral sex, do you stay quiet about it or do you speak up or do you speak up about it?
Shouting.
Okay. Wait, are you not going to answer for? He's doing what the ladies did. You're going to speak up about it. Okay.
I'm going to speak up about it as well.
Okay. So since you raised your card first, I'm going to go to you, then Mark, then Scooby, and say why you picked your answer.
That's an important. Sex is important to relationships. So if there's something that's amiss, it needs to be spoken on. If you don't plan on or you're not comfortable enough to speak on that type of topic, you probably really shouldn't be together. Because it's something that's so intimate. And granted, everybody's entitled to like what they like and not like what they don't like, but gotta at least have a conversation about it.
Okay, I like that. Mr. Mark Lewis?
Alright, now, I might, my time on this segment might be limited.
Okay.
Because I'm dealing in a paradigm right now where I'm not mentally stable for these type of conversations. Being that throughout the histories and things I've read, the black woman has a sexual trope of being over-sexualized. You understand what I'm saying? So through slavery and traumatic traumas, they have been taught that the only thing that of value is their sex. So now, you know, when you got your female rap artists and things of that nature, all they do is sell sex. And me being a father of a daughter or whatever, I'm not really comfortable with this segment.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, I think we have more to offer than what we could bring to the bedroom.
I agree, and I'm gonna piggyback that on what Charles said though, because how many of us are in relationships, right, or have been? Let's raise our hands, right?
But what I'm trying to get at is that you'll have a man that has crossed every T and dot every I, but they might go out and cheat because he ain't satisfying her sexually. I'm trying to get the understanding where does this psychological trope comes from. I'm trying to understand if he's there, he's the protector, he's the provider, he's doing all this other things. Why does she see fit that she has to go out and cheat? You understand what I'm saying?
I know exactly what
it's
you're
almost
saying.
like that we buy into the sex thing has to be a deal or no deal. I listen to certain radio stations where a woman will call and say, my man does everything, but his sex is so trash. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
His sex is so trash. He does everything, but his sex is so trash.
Yep.
And she's really in a dilemma if she should stay or not.
That's a fact.
Yes.
So
All
where
right.
do we get these psychological tropes from to where that the sex is the end all be all when all actuality out of the billions of species that reside on this earth, we're the only few that enjoy it for pleasure. But all actuality, we're supposed to be only having sex to procreate.
That is correct, but we've also learned in that procreation that is pleasurable. And that shouldn't be ignored or denied.
It shouldn't be ignored or denied, but at the end of the day, we shouldn't measure our life by the size of the cock or how wet the pussy is either.
I agree.
And
I agree.
You're using that as a metric.
But it matters to certain people. You're saying it doesn't matter to
It
you.
doesn't matter.
And I respect
I went 9 years without it. So I'm in a different boat.
Agreed. But you also said shout. Why did you say shout instead of saying just being quiet? Because you're shouting because you want to speak on the topic itself.
Absolutely, because it's a topic.
Yes, I just wanted to clarify that for the people.
No, it's a topic.
I like your perspective.
I can't. If I say, I can't sit here and say nothing.
Oh, I see where you come from. Yes. All right.
And then you guys be saying, I'm trying to understand why I'm not saying anything.
Well, you're not saying anything.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And for the conversation too, I didn't take it as we're only specifically speaking about black people because there's 4 of us in here. We could be in a relationship with anyone. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily foundational black American or whatever the case may be. So I didn't take. I understand that.
Yeah, but I can only speak from a black experience.
This is true.
Because I'm with a black woman.
Okay. But that's your current relationship, or has been your relationship, or your
Right,
experience.
and this is my ideology for, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
More than likely, I'm going to be with a black woman.
Right.
If you know what I mean? If I was to not be with a black woman, I probably would end up being with a black woman. You know what I mean?
I think a girl's going wild in the 90s. It was all white chicks shaking their titties, flowing, showing their asses. So I don't think it's specific to black women.
No, it's
but
specific.
I like
You saying go wild, that was a phase. But when you get your Nicki Minaj and your Cardi B's, these are who relevant right now. Your Meg Thee Stallion.
Are these not phases?
Every year you got every generation you got a Little Kim or you got a Foxy Brown. So no matter what, sex sells for the foundational black American female.
This is true.
Prior to Little Kim, was there anybody else who did that? Prior to our generational of rap.
Well, when you just black exploitation, in order to be on TV, you either had to be over sexualized, a white man, or you had to be Pam Grier, or them selling what their assets was.
Pam, that's what I was looking for. An example of
So
prior to
we can go to any generation, and the only value that the black woman has is her over sexualization. Because she's been taught in her mind from generational traumas that all she has to offer is what between her legs. To a certain extent.
I like it. Thank you for that perspective. Because it's different, and we're not a monolith, right? And it just goes to show that everybody's going to have a different perspective.
Absolutely.
Did that sway your answer?
So I love the response both these guys have made there, and my what I would like to bring to is just like being able to have that open sexual dialogue with your partner to be able to see if that's something that she wants to do at that current time. And I also think that being able to incorporate her feelings in the situation is key. Because sometimes if depending on how pleasurable you're making her feel, how much you're committing to her is in turn how often she's going to give it to you. So I do think putting her feelings first is going to be how much you get out of it.
So I'm hearing that you guys are saying have the conversation, find out what it is that you don't like, why don't you want to do it, and you was like we don't even need to put emphasis on this, baby, because if you doing everything you need to do, I don't care if you sloppy top me 8+ or don't do it at all, I'm gonna accept you as you are.
Yeah, I mean, it's all transitional periods, and I think it comes with age and experience. And there was a time where I felt like I needed more sex and things of that nature because I don't know, it was my mental state. And in the laws of nature, you continue to procreate when you're able to provide and protect. But the older you get, you can't go out and hunt. You can't go out and protect. So what nature would do is kind of systematically almost shut your procreation down. So you can't have more children because you won't have the ability or the odds are in your favor to go out and hunt and provide and protect. So now your sex drive dies down and everything else. So I don't know if that's the point I'm coming to with lower testosterone or anything like that, but in my younger years, I had a quota on how many sexual desires I can conquer. But as I get older and experiences and certain things of that nature, I no longer focus on sex anymore because it's no longer the topic of my desires or the topic of my drives. And it could be coming with me being, I'm close to 50. I mean, ain't that close, but I'm getting up there. But at the end of the day, it's no longer, I'm not gonna say it's irrelevant, but it's no longer relevant, and it alleviates a lot more stress on my mental if things ain't going sexually that way in my relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm more or less just looking for a respect type of thing in my relationship.
I like it.
You know
I
what
like
I mean?
it. Absolutely.
Just have some
focus.
integrity and have some respect. Because at the end of the day, me being 43, about to be 44, I've already tried and did everything I ever wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And yes, sex is a major topic, but it's not for me.
Right.
Sex isn't that for me anymore.
And not that it's a major topic, but I think it's a big component of most relationships.
It could be.
I mean, I don't know any sexless couples. I don't know any sexless couples. So
Will they talk about it?
Probably.
Well,
I mean,
can't
you
say
just
probably.
expressed that it doesn't matter to you.
Right.
So if it doesn't really matter to you, does it equate to a lot or more often? Because it's not high on your priority list, which brings me to my follow-up question. How important is that? It sounds like on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being not big of a deal at all, and 10 being a deal breaker, you're what?
I'm not a 3 or 4.
Okay.
I bodybuild every day, and I get the same dopamine release mentally from when I go to the gym. I get that same euphoric feeling when I'm lifting weights. So I don't know if there's a correlation or anything, but I also psychologically had to psych myself up for not being with a woman for 9 years.
Okay.
So it was times and patterns where I wasn't getting sex, and maybe my feelings was being hurt because I'm like, wow, she don't find me attractive, whatever. We not having sex like that. But after that, you systematically kind of revert back to, well, you didn't have sex for almost 9 years, so you don't need it to survive.
Well, I can tell you, looking at you, you're a very handsome man. And I can find you attractive and not be sexually attracted to you.
Absolutely. But
I love that you wore all black because you just killed the fucking topic.
Yeah.
Let's have a funeral. Rest in peace. Rest in peace to sex. So can I get the other guys
Yeah.
scale?
I have my AED right here. I'm getting ready to do CPR on some shit.
Oh, okay. Let's go. Let's go.
So,
yo, this is my opinion.
I know. I love it.
and
No,
we love it.
we ain't fucking
Absolutely.
editing this.
We have differences of opinions.
Mark, do you think I not know you? I invited you for a reason. I ain't want us all to agree on shit.
What good is this?
You good, my boy. You are good. We gonna have
And
fun
please
with
don't
this
feel
shit
uncomfortable
and
for
keep
your
fucking playing the game. But if you gotta give your 20-minute speeches about why you don't appreciate the topic, you do that shit, cause this will be our first 2-hour fucking segment for you.
Love it.
I love it.
2 hours?
2 hours, cuz however long it takes you to make your point.
I got the time if you got the dime.
What's your scale?
On a scale of 1 to 10, it's gonna be like a 12, 13.
Oh shit, you
So,
off the race.
well, for me, so this is the thing for me. I'm a physically affectionate person. Physical touch is my love language, and through sexual activity and through touch and affection is how I express my love. So you guys all know me. If I greet a family member or a close friend, I'm gonna give the female a hug and a kiss. The man, I'm gonna dap him up and give him a hug. I tell most of my close relatives that I love them on a regular basis. Everybody's not necessarily comfortable with that, but that's who I am as a person. I'm a lover and I'm a pleaser. So if I'm in a sexual relationship with someone, us having sex is me expressing my love for that person. So if I can't express my love for that person, I have a problem. You know what I'm saying? And it causes a problem for me personally, and it causes a problem in my relationship. And I'm not saying that we have to fuck every day, all day. But I have to have physical touch and physical contact with my partner.
Okay.
Because that's how I feel connected to them.
I like it.
If I miss out on that, I start drifting away, and I don't feel love the same.
Okay.
Respect is important for me, and that's also part of it. You know, being attentive to each other's needs and desires. And I feel like it's a double-edged sword, because he brought up some great points talking about Nicki Minaj and females like that who over-sexualize our women. But I also feel like sex is very taboo here in the U.S., and when it's a one-on-one relationship, it should be if you're my lady, I should be able to talk to you about, when you make pizza for me, that's my favorite food, just as much as I should be able to say, I love when you give me head. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. And if you have a different balance or a different scale where you're on one side or the other, that's perfectly fine. I'm just speaking for me and my relationship. And I think that we should be able to speak more freely about sex. And I feel like if we were more open about it, like they are in some other countries, I don't think it would be such a big deal with the Nicki Minaj, because if it wasn't so taboo, the opposite end of the scale wouldn't be as attractive and wouldn't sell so much. I have guns in my home, so to take the interest away from my children, in accidents and stuff like that. I keep them locked up and stuff, but I talk to my children about guns and I teach them about them. So it takes away the mystique of it, and it takes away the interest because now you have a level understanding of what this tool is for, because it's no different than any other tool or knife in the kitchen, but you need to know what it's for and what it's not for, when it's safe, when it's not safe. And I feel the same way about sex. You should know that you could, I don't want to say the word, but you can be sexually assaulted, and that's sex too, but that's bad. Or you can procreate and make a child. That's also sex, and that's amazing. That's how the world
Or
goes
you can
around.
meet in the middle and
Or you
just
can
want to
meet in the
have
middle.
sex and it be pleasure and you're not trying to procreate or you're not being assaulted. I'm going to come back to you, but I want Scooby to answer his Richter scale.
So how I would say is one. So
Okay.
it's one important for me because I feel as though, you know, a woman was created for a deep affection for love. A man was created for a deep affection for respect. And throughout our relationship, we started to go back and forth, and I put more ownership on myself to really stop us fighting and going back and forth. And I think when I do that, and I pick that ownership of, you know, stopping that, she's going to do whatever she can do to please me. And so when I see that I'm not, or a man is not having enough sex or enough intimacy in that relationship, you know, look at what you're doing in that relationship. Look at, and once you do that, you know, I think it's going to come automatically. So if you know, change that focus without, you know, if I'm not having enough, see what you're doing. See how you're making her feel. See how that relationship can change. And you know, I feel as though it's gonna come. It's gonna be there.
Okay. But it's still not a deal breaker for you. It's like, it's a one, you said.
It's
Okay.
a one because the deal breaker is me putting the ownership on what can I do to change the relationship.
Okay. Thank you for the perspective. You wanted to circle back on something.
No, I'm gonna leave it
You
alone.
good? Okay.
No, why? Don't, please don't. Come on, bro. Come
He
with it,
said,
please.
I don't want to get in a debate. But to
Alright.
piggyback what Sonny said, he said that
Who's
sex
he?
is,
Oh, Cousin Charles. Okay.
Cousin Charles said that sex is basically taboo over here, and that if we were more open about our sexuality, or we were more open about it, things wouldn't be frowned upon as your Nicki Minaj's and things of that nature. Closely.
I wasn't saying it wouldn't be frowned upon. I'm saying it wouldn't sell the same because it's not considered taboo. It's not so outlandish that it attracts your attention because it's a common thing as opposed to being behind closed doors, secret,
Right,
whatever
right,
the case may be. It takes away the shock value of it.
Absolutely.
That's what I was saying.
Now, why it's different for me? Now I'm always revert back to my time being isolated. When you go through and you see that the woman from our foundational history, she had to use sex in order to protect the man, to protect the kid, to protect her father, to protect her son, in order to keep the slave master happy. You understand what I'm saying? So when you're reading these books, they psychologically do something to you, to where you can't even look at sex in the same capacity if you're looking at someone who looks like you. You understand what I'm saying? So we almost strategically base our ideology of what our relationship should be off of what we learned from the slave master, because no one was ever able to teach a black man how to be a family man to his woman, because over 291 years he watched what the slave master did with his woman. Then he watched what the slave master did to his woman. You understand what I'm saying? And they were only used for tools for sex.
So are we letting that historical?
Why wouldn't you look? Because at the end of the day, when you think of a black woman, when we deal in that capacity, we're the one that does the twerking. All our TikToks is based upon all that.
So I smirked because before you guys came in, I literally said to Poppy, I said, is there something that young black women, because I'm thinking the ages of 18 to 30 now, can do to show they're having fun besides shaking their fucking ass in the camera? I swear I just said that to Poppy.
Thank you.
I said, why do they feel the need that the first thing they do to have a good time is to bend over and flap your ass?
Because we're over-sexualized.
Okay, so let me piggyback on y'all. You ever been in the mall, right? I'm sorry, I'm going off topic, but I have to. Ever been in the mall? You see the white girl with mom and dad, and she got so short, her ass cheeks is hanging out.
If there's ass cheeks there. I spoke on this recently, actually.
Okay, so if everybody got ass cheeks, no matter how big or small they are, right?
Debatable.
But she... her cheeks... The cheeks she has are out. Right, but you're like, of all, who's going out with their daughter wearing those? I don't think we do that. And I wonder what it is, because like you said, black women are over-sexualized. But Sarah can be out with dad and they're not paying that any mind, because if they did, Sarah would have never made it out the fucking house like that. Or Uncle Benny's coming over, go put on some clothes, you know, like, why does that now have to be the pressure of the girl? Because
there's no
Chester's
there's no stigmatism on what their sexualization is. That's looked upon them as, well, that's just a form of fashion for them. But when we do it, that's all we ever have been. That's all the black women on this foundational black women on this continent has ever been denounced to.
From whose perspective? Ours or the man's?
From European Americans to our culture.
So then let me challenge you, because I remember you saying, we were having a debate, oh my God, but you were like, oh God, what was it, guys? We were all in a thread. We were all four of us was in a group chat. And it was a situation that had taken place, and it was like, oh, it's embarrassing, the fucking slap. When Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. And it was like how that made black people look bad. You was the first one to be like, nah, why do we care? Why are we worried about how they view us and their perspective? Was that not your argument?
So what was that different than what I said? When you just said, I'm telling you that at the end of the day, the way they look at themselves, you understand what I'm saying, is never going to be the way they look at us. But also, we learned to look at ourselves the way they look at us.
Because I thought you were saying that their perspective of us matters. That's what I thought you were getting at.
No, their perspective of us don't matter.
Don't matter. Okay, good. That's what I wanted to make sure.
When we use the word embarrassed, because you have to, in my mind, in my own twisted sense of a word, I'm only embarrassed for who I care about. So if something happens in front of you, or my children, to me, and I care about you guys' opinion, I'm embarrassed. But if I don't give a fuck about what y'all think or what y'all say, I can't be embarrassed. So there's a sense of superiority and a sense of inferiority. So if you sit there and you say, man, that shit made black people look bad. In front of who? In front of who? Other black people? That don't make sense. So you got to be saying it made black people look bad in front of someone you have a high opinion of. White people.
So how can we change that narrative then? What is it going to take? Is it going to take fathers like y'all to push the children to do better and want better?
That's how I teach. Well, my nephews listen to me more than my own children. I don't know how that works, but whoever will want to listen, that's how I talk to them. And it starts with you first. It starts with me. It starts, it starts who I'm talking to. There's no monolithic is going to change. You plant the seed and you just hope it gets watered one day. And that's how I live my life. That's all it is. I couldn't care less about their opinion or how they feel, what they think. This is how I look at my people. This is how I look at you. This is how I look at school. This is how I look at y'all. This is how I look at my niece Mia, my daughters, all that. And I can no longer, conceptualize the sexualization of the stereotype that they have upon me. You know what I mean? I watched this segment, but when I saw where it was going, I couldn't go divulge more into it. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay. And I think it's going to take people to become more educated, more aware, and maybe more mature to reach that level of understanding and active thinking to try to change that perspective. I'm not there yet. I'm a person who I enjoy sex. Sex matters to me. Yeah. When I'm in a committed relationship, we better have fucking sex. And a lot of it. I don't feel like I'm overly sexualized.
What if you crossed every T and dotted every I, but he couldn't satisfy you sexually? Where do you go from there?
We're gonna work on that. If I asked that question. You didn't watch long into the segment because I had a coworker ask me that specific question. He was just like, as a black woman, let me ask you, you have a man doing everything for you, satisfying you physically, mentally, emotionally, but his exact words were the sex was trash. What do? I said, we work on that because there's too many options out here to not. What are you good at, baby? What are you comfortable with? Because at the end of the day, I could please myself and I could let you watch. You know what I'm saying? So you're still present. I'm still getting what I need. But that doesn't mean that because you can't give it to me that you're thrown away.
Okay.
No.
I also think there's a distinction to be made between society as a whole and our individual relationships. Like, I'm a very sexual person. That's not because of slavery or whatever went on. That I'm just a physically affectionate person.
Yeah.
That's just and again, it's not limited to sex. It's also hugging, kissing, whatever the case may be. I'm just an affectionate person, and I'm a pleaser. That's just who I am. I wasn't programmed to be that way. It's just me. So that's important to me in my relationships, where in yours, maybe not so much. And that's fine. But for me, I'd rather try and work out the issue with my partner or move on than struggle in a relationship that's not pleasing to me.
Yeah.
I was like that at one point.
Right.
I had to have
To
sex with 2 to 3 or 4 women a day to fulfill my sexual desires.
But that's not your individual relationship, though. I was talking about like a one-on-one relationship with someone.
But did you? What, were you single or were you in a relationship and cheating? And you couldn't get that same satisfaction from your lady?
Not at all.
Because she didn't want to engage in sex that often, or because she?
That would be a question she would have to answer.
No, I'm asking you from your perspective.
Yeah,
Why do you feel like you couldn't get it from her?
It was just something about me that no matter how much she was fulfilling me, it was something in me that wanted more. That wanted something outside of that.
Gotcha.
I would make up things in my head that she sucks my dick, but she only sucks it 3 times a week. I need it done 5. But this was my own psychosis and my own, my own sense of instability and insecurities in my mind, thinking I deserve more because I do this, and that. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I don't know if it's a genetic makeup in me, but like I said, once I got detached from that, that's why in the institutional system, you got people that feel that's physical, so they say, well, I'm only fucking him in his ass. You understand what I'm saying? Because I'm a physical person. I need that sex. I got to have the sex. And they say, well, it's his ass, so I'm not gay. I'm not the one getting fucked. So they'll make and rationalize and justify why they fucking these men in their asses because they're so over-sexualized and they need to have that nut.
So does that require a level of discipline then?
Absolutely.
Or mind shift to be like, I just got to go without because what I desire is not here and I'm not going to substitute it for the sake of releasing.
And it's funny because the dudes that go without fucking with other dudes are an anomaly. In an institution.
Wow.
So and I'm not always reverting shit back to slavery, but we're the only ones that went through this traumatic time in history and were treated in a certain capacity, and it's got to have something to do with epigenetic trauma, or inter-trans trauma through the family and through how we were brought up. Because when you got these men who are straight killers on the street, but will be willing to sleep with each other inside, there's got to be something that's genetically inclined to that. And this is where, I'm not arguing with the brother or anything like that. I'm cool if you just fucking hold me at night. I mean, it sounds crazy. And some people might say, yo, you got mother issues. Nah, I need to be touched. I need to be hugged. I want to be loved and shit like that. I want you to hold my hand in the mall. That's something that I did a self-evaluation inside myself and said, yeah, I'm a physical person. Sometimes me busting a nut don't need her to prove to me that she loved me. That's just me.
But all right, that's yes. Like you said, speaking from your perspective, I almost flipped it, but you're right. This is the men's perspective, and I was gonna go back. I almost always want to play scoop. But you introduce yourself as Brandon, so you Brandon today.
Okay.
Go back to what you said that you kind of put the onus on you to make sure your lady has what she needs so that she can pour into you and meet your desires. Do you feel like that's your responsibility, or could she be playing a part too?
I feel like it's my responsibility as the man and the leader of the family. It's more like, I want to be able to submit to her first before she submits to me. So it's more like me making sure, her mental is completely, satisfied and being able to bring her physical self onto me. So it's totally, I wouldn't question it 100% on me.
Yeah, and I think the mall thing, like you said, just walking through the mall, holding hands, cuddling, that leads to physical intimacy. Because I think it stimulates. Yes, I mean physical intercourse,
right.
not intimacy. Sorry, that is intimacy, exactly. And I think the stimulation there almost brings you to that final moment of connection. That's the build-up. That's something they talked about in the previous segment. Holding the hands, lighting candles, running us bath water, cuddling, starting the day off with like, hey, beautiful, you look sexy in your work outfit. Things like that. And then who knows, at the end of the day, babe, damn, you made me feel good. And, that might lead to her pleasing you. And then, adding to that.
Just to add on to what Mark was saying about epigenetic trauma, is more like, us being in charge. A lot of men feel as though, we're in charge when actually the woman is in charge. Like, we have to be able to relinquish a lot of our household and what's happening with the family to them. We put them in charge and being able to I hate to say it, but to put it in perspective, they run our household. The woman runs the household, and when you can sometimes sit back and be that masculine figure in the household, it's going to make, in my opinion, makes the household run a lot smoother, and the sex will in turn come along with it.
Okay, so that sound. You like what he said?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
Because as a woman who runs the household, okay, that could get physically draining.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, we don't fucking want to have sex.
Mm-hmm.
Because we done got the kids up. We done made them breakfast. We done went to work. Because a lot of us are earning checks these days, right?
Mm-hmm.
We done came home. We done cooked dinner. We probably did the dishes. Then we probably had to throw in a load of laundry. Then we had to make sure the kids were showered. Homework is done. At the end of the day, who has time?
So let me
Or
piggyback on
energy.
what you just said.
Okay.
You did all that. Would you want me to come home and say, "Hey, babe, I want to put this in your mouth"?
No.
Okay. So
No, for sure. But so that's good. So that shows that you're cognizant of her day.
Absolutely.
And okay.
So being
yes.
being able to allow her to run the household, allow her to be her support and her backbone. Then when you are ready, then I'm ready for you.
You're ready for it. Okay.
So being able to again allow her to run the household, allow her to do all the things that she needs to do.
Okay.
I want to comment on both of you.
Okay,
real
go
quick.
ahead.
The intimacy that you spoke of, holding hands and more things of that nature, doesn't always necessarily have to end in sex.
It does
You
not.
know what I mean? Because you
agree.
still have the intimacy portion. So
Mhm.
even like Mark was saying, if it ends in cuddling, it ends in cuddling. It's
Mhm.
still fulfilling
Right.
because you're with your partner. And I wanted to comment on you because I also experienced isolation, and I chose to go without while I was isolated. But it didn't diminish my desire to be with my partner, and it also didn't increase my propensity to want to be with someone else. Like I wasn't like, okay, well, as soon as I'm free, or as soon as I get back to the U.S.,
Yeah,
I want to fuck everything walking.
no doubt.
You know what I'm saying? So my desires is an expression of love and affection with my partner, not necessarily with just any female, anywhere, anytime.
Understood.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. But I was only speaking on my isolation
Absolutely.
because it's a long duration
Yeah,
of time.
hell yeah.
And then you might have some men who can go 1, 2, 3 years without desire. In isolation,
Yeah.
and still have and fight your desires. But once they get into that 4, 5, 6 year range,
Yeah.
a fat ass just thinks like a fat ass. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm saying. Where some people do fall to their desires
Yep.
over a duration of time.
Okay.
Ain't nobody coming in just having sex off the rip.
Mm-hmm.
They do stay. Some of them do stand steadfast. And it was a dude I walked with on the track for a long time. He was a shot caller, but he got sentenced to 20 some odd years. He did his first 5 okay, and then he fell victim to his desires. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So that's all. My whole terminology of sex is totally looked at in a different propensity because of my reading, my experiences, and things that I've been through.
And I
That's
think
all.
that
and
is
that's why I
perfect.
said when I am,
Yeah.
I'm going to be the Debbie Downer because I can't. You know what I mean? And then there were certain things that happened since I've been free that was traumatizing to me to a certain extent. To where now, in order for me to go ahead and go with the flow and have a better quality of life, I don't resonate to how many times I'm getting it that day or that week. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I no longer have a quota of what it is going to do for me. That's all. That's just
You're not
me.
prioritizing
It's
it
not
in
a
your day.
priority
I like
no more
it.
for me. That's all.
I do want to ask y'all a question because I know for me, and I think I touched on this last month, I have to have an emotional connection with somebody in order to have sex with them. And I'm going to ask you this because I feel like I'm asking the adult males here, whereas the younger males are probably like, I don't care, I love her, pow, pow, pow. But as adult, mature men, do you guys require an emotional connection at this stage in order to be have intercourse or physically into someone in that way?
I'll go first. It's
Okay.
preferable.
It's
My
preferable.
personality,
Okay.
absolutely. Like if I don't know you, I'm gonna have a hard time getting comfortable with you
Okay.
in any form, not just sexual, but period. You know what I mean?
So having a connection is important
Absolutely.
to you. Okay. What about you?
I think it's very important, and actually, your emotions. Sometimes people can get your perspective, especially a black male, of that you're not emotional. You don't show emotion. I have been called in the past an emotional robot. Just like where's your emotion at? And so being that sometimes you have to try to let your emotional show or try to connect with that person emotionally. And I think as a black man, being I think I do have to have emotional connection with my woman. Sometimes it's shown differently. It may not be obvious of how much that I am into you or you're into me, but it's definitely an emotional connection I need. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I don't know if I quite understand the question. Are we in a relationship or aren't we in a relationship?
No, let's just say you're not in a relationship, because in a relationship I would think that there's some emotional
Right, that's why I'm
connection.
confused.
Yeah. So you're not in a relationship, but you know how young kids or a certain age group would just sex because, like you said, to achieve or accomplish certain numbers under your belt.
Right.
But at a certain age, does that stop and it becomes more of an emotional connection in order to engage in sex with someone?
I can only speak for myself. Before I got with my significant other, I wasn't emotionally attached to anyone I was having sex with. I just wanted to have sex. You understand what I'm saying? And she was a woman. She looked appealing to my eye. That was the only connection I needed.
Okay.
Because I was trying to release the ultimate desire of my testosterone, my sex drive is up. I need something to alleviate that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't need to know your birthday, your name, what's your favorite color, or, you know what I mean, what we're going to do after. I don't need to know any of that.
Gotcha.
You understand what I'm saying?
I believe that just like women should be selective of who they give their bodies to and who they share their private parts to, men should too. And I think having an emotional connection does create some type of selective engagement, because you're not just out here sticking and being with anybody, and you're allowing yourself to at least get to know the person on some semi-deeper level, as opposed to just surface, what you spoke about. So I think that's a good point to a lot of young men. Don't feel like just because you have a tool, you have to go drilling your gun into every screw that you see, or hitting every nail that you encounter, and instead, taking the time to figure out if you even are into this person in a way that's not surface level attraction. And I wish that a lot of young men would be that way, because then maybe women will kind of start to value themselves and develop that self-respect that you spoke of in the very beginning of the segment. Because if they know that men aren't just hitting them because they shaking their ass or because they got a fat ass, because of how good they look, they might be like, oh, I might need to.
Well,
Go ahead. And I think a lot of it stems from, how we grew up and what we were around. Because, a lot of the things that we seen growing up was like Mark said, I seen a fat ass, I'm hitting it. And that was, I don't care who you are, where you from, I'm doing that. But as I got older and seeing other choices that other men have made, look at their history. A lot of them come from two family parent households. A lot of them come from a different background. So when you look at their history and how they were raised and where they was brought up, they wasn't doing it. And it was a huge difference on the way we were raised and the way we were brought up.
I like that
I
perspective.
totally agree. That's the point I was going to make.
Yeah.
The father shows the son how to love the mother, and the son sometimes, or as odds in the favor, will replicate that. So if a son, in my perception, sees how his father treats his mother, and it's pure organic love there, I don't think he's going out there with a sex drive to fuck everything he sees. I think there's a certain type of paradigm that he's resided in, that a man treats a woman like this. So I already think that a child that comes from that type of environment and that type of reality will see a woman with respect, will see a woman emotionally, say, well, before I have sex with her, I want to get to know her. I don't think that's something a mother will have to teach them, or a mother will have to teach her daughter. That shit all starts at home, and a child will basically copy that, mimic what his mother and his father does.
I like that. I like that you brought that up.
He will delve into a relationship thinking how I like this girl. He won't think about having sex with her first. He said, well, she's attractive. I want to get to know her. Then the talking comes and things like that nature. I don't think he's going to use his tool to put in every box. You understand?
One of the many benefits of having a two-parent household.
One of the many benefits.
Sometimes to his detriment. Because sometimes, you see, from a child standpoint, you see an adult's relationship, and you want to mimic or emulate that, and you don't go through the same selection process that your father went through for your mother, because you're not in a mature space yet, and you're giving of yourself in a way that, unfortunately, some of these young women aren't worthy of at the time.
Can't receive. So I want to go back to something. When you asked me if the man checked off all the boxes and the sex was quote-unquote trash, would I stick with him? And I said, toys are a supplement for that. So if you happen to be, looking for your shoehorn, and you come across your lady's pleasure chest, her toy box, and you find that she has fixtures that are well beyond your physical attributes, do you talk about that, or do you just shut up and act like you ain't see that shit? You're gonna talk about it. Okay, you're gonna talk about it.
I'm gonna talk about it.
You're gonna talk about it. Okay. What does that conversation look like? How do you bring it up, and why are you bringing it
Well,
up?
mine's a little different because I've actually bought her fixtures that's well beyond my endowment. So at the end of the day, I'm a realist.
Love it.
So instead of
That part.
being with the alternate may be her going to find someone
Mm-hmm.
who's
Look, baby, they sell lace. Look,
I'm giving her
$50 in there like swimwear.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So a lot of them toys I've actually bought myself for her because I already know that at the end of the day, humans gonna be humans. You understand human behavior. You know what I mean? There's gonna be times she may want to do something and I can't, or things of that nature. She can go ahead and use these things right here.
I
to
love
pleasure
it.
herself. And
I
this
love
is true. I've bought many
Okay.
of the toys into our relationship. It was from my purchase,
Nice.
my ideas.
All right, Brandon.
I have one word to figure to one word is self-love. Yo, if you are confident in what you have and what you bring to the table, even if it's, size, style, action, whatever it is, you will feel more than comfortable buying them toys and providing them in the bedroom. And that's just being able to have fun and making sure their sexual urges is fulfilled.
Okay.
Is more what will be on you. So.
Love it.
Like Mark being a realist, I understand that as we mature and grow, my sex drive at some point in my life is going to decrease. And the reason I want to have the conversation about the toy is because I want to know what it is that made you feel like you needed to hide that from me. That's something that we should already talked about. In my
Okay.
opinion.
That's a good way to
Like I
Yeah.
talked about, like you just like the whole sex thing. If I'm not happy with her head or whatever, like these are things. Like if I chose you to be in my presence like that, there's nothing that's off limits.
Yeah.
Nothing. And if it's that serious, then maybe we should look into parting ways. Also, you know what I mean? Like playing devil's advocate, but that all starts with communication.
Yes. Okay, so it's safe to say that all three of you fellas do not see accessories as taboo. They're not. All right. Now, can I take it a step further? It's going to take a little vulnerability, okay? Like you said, you have went purchase. You are open to it. If you find it, baby, self-love, whatever it takes. Are y'all going to assist in using them with her?
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Please
All
do.
right, good.
Yeah.
Why do you think some guys see it as competition?
Can't answer for them.
It's fun to me.
It's fun.
And again, this is what, like we're talking about intimacy and affection. I'm an affectionate and pleasure. I'm a pleaser. So however you find pleasure, if I'm with you, I want to be with you when you find pleasure. Number one, because you're my lady. So I don't want you finding pleasure anywhere without me. First of all, and then second of all, if I can participate, I'm all in.
Okay.
It has to do something with it. It got to be ego. Sometimes you have to put your ego to the side.
Yeah.
Right. And some people have a hard time doing that.
Oh, the next question feeds right into that shit. Okay, so now your lady wants a threesome, and it's not with the fucking toy. It's another man. Do you shush and be like, not talk about it and oblige, or do you shush and not mention it and hope she forget it, or do you talk about it and see what it is that why she wants that other person? Y'all shouting. You shushing?
I'm shushing.
Let me start with Brandon. Only because your answer is different. Why? You gonna hope she forget about it because you're not gonna engage in that conversation.
So I gotta still answer if I shush?
Yes, hell yeah, because I want to hear why you staying quiet. Mark wasn't gonna get away with that either. If he shushed the whole fucking conversation, I needed to know why.
Okay.
So why are you not gonna speak on it and hope she forgets about it?
No, I never said she was gonna forget about it. I said I wasn't gonna answer it. But if you want me to answer it, I would, see what if that's something that she want to do. I wouldn't participate in something like that, but I would see, if there's something something that I can do to, if there's something that's going on in a relationship, and if something that she want to fulfill, going outside of the relationship, that's something she could do. But that's something that I would.
You wouldn't want to be a part of.
Yeah.
Okay,
I told you I got a weird psychology.
let's go. Pops
always told me, unless you get up and watch that shit yourself, that ain't your pussy. You understand what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, if that's something she wants to do, she wants to share in my presence, I respect the fact that she brought it to my immediate attention. I'm a big believer in integrity. And being that you're comfortable enough to tell me this is one of your desires, I respect that to the fullest. Because you could have went behind behind my back
And
you
did
ain't
it
got that
anyway.
on your own. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a high probability I will participate.
Okay.
Doing part. I respect her as an individual. I respect her body because it's her body. You understand?
Mhm.
And I respect the fact that you brought it to my attention. That is something that you would like, that a bridge you would want to cross.
Mm-hmm. I like it. I like it. Okay. What's your the smart cuz?
Hey, so this is a I don't want to say a loaded question, but there's a lot that I take into
Okay.
consideration. I take into the first of all, I want to talk about it. Hands down, no questions asked. I
Okay.
want to talk about it because it's my option to either be with it or not be with it, and I may decide to exit stage left.
Okay.
And you know what I mean. If that's what you want to do with your life, maybe we're not made for each other.
Mm-hmm.
Whether I would participate or not, I don't know. I would have a lot of questions. Current times in society and media tries to play like men and women are the same. We're not the same. We have intricate differences. So if I'm with a woman that wants to be with another man, because we're saying it was her idea, right? Not mine.
Yeah, she brought. Yes.
I would have a lot of questions, and I'd want to have conversations about it as far as what our commitment to each other means. Now, are we having sex every day?
Yeah.
Before you want this
Let's say
threesome?
y'all are.
Okay,
Sex
so
life
we
is
having
great.
sex every day. Sex
Mhm.
life is great, and you just want to explore.
And it's an experience she wants to have, not even explore. She might just say, you know what, this is on my list of things to do because life is our playground and I want to enjoy and have fun while I'm here. And this is something I've always wanted to try. And I love you, babe, you my man. And can you be a part of this with me?
That's how I
Yeah.
I know. I know that's exactly how you answered it, right, with that perspective.
I really can't say. I can't say I will be opposed, but I also can't say that I will be with it either.
Okay.
What about two women?
That's exactly where I was going, Mark Lewis.
Be honest.
Same. It would be the same. It would be the same consideration. And again, so it's two women, but she's bringing it to me, or it's my idea.
She said, hey, babe.
your idea.
Now it's my idea.
It's his
Because
idea. Okay,
it was
all
her
right,
idea
let's
first.
go for both. All right.
Now it's my idea.
Yeah.
If it's my idea, I will still want to be open and communicate about it. I definitely feel like sex is different between.
You know, me and Mark.
What?
Me and Mark is like, the freak in this motherfucker is suppressed. I'm sorry, cuz. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I
Give your
apologize,
answer.
bro.
Me too. I'm sorry. Look,
I'm really struggling with this one right now.
I
I feel like
because
I feel like I'm drowning.
he got a double
I'm fucking
standard like a
drowning,
motherfucker.
and oxygen is thin in this motherfucker. We must be up in the Alps or somewhere. I'm starting to sweat. Damn. So I can tell both of you my I don't want to say my observations, but my opinions have started to change.
Okay.
And I'm not saying I'm not open to it, but I'm also not saying 100%.
You're
Either.
maturing. You're transitioning into a different mindset as it relates to that.
I don't even know if it's that.
No?
Because I wouldn't necessarily say it's maturing. If somebody wants to experience that, I wouldn't say they're immature for wanting to experience that.
No, I mean your mindset as it. Okay, you're right. Maybe mature is not the right word
Yeah.
because it shows that you're growing, but your perspective is changing.
Yes,
Sorry.
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's tough. Neither one of them is 100% yes or no.
Let me go to Brandon. If it's flipped and she's like, baby, your birthday coming up and I want to give you something special, and it involves another me.
I would still say the same answer. I think I have, and I'm just speaking from my perspective, an amazing relationship and communication with that, and I enjoy having just that mental aspect with that person there. So I don't know if I would need another person there to fulfill
Okay.
my need there. So
All right.
I would still keep it as
Whatever we can do to keep it between of us and still be enjoyable and pleasurable.
correct. So,
Okay.
And to be fair, I'm not necessarily opposed to an open relationship either.
Huh?
Really?
Yeah.
Let's talk about
As
that.
weird as that may
This
sound.
define open relationship for those who may not exactly know.
From my perspective, an open relationship is we're together as a committed couple, living wise, but we both do whatever we want to do within whatever our boundaries are. Some people have boundaries, some people don't.
And it's not cheating because y'all know.
Correct.
Well,
So
so
it's
you-
an open, honest. A threesome is different than an open relationship.
Clearly, because you're not involved. It's the other party is not involved. It's something
That's
you do
what I'm saying.
outside
He's
of each
You
other.
know your
Yeah.
brother, because I'm about to say,
Yeah,
your brother
no.
got comfortable with another dude
Nah.
being with your woman.
He probably just don't want to witness
But
it.
you might
There
not.
you
But
go.
you know what I'm
I
saying?
stopped. He stopped me before.
Yeah.
He knew exactly
He
what
know
I was
where
about
you're
to
coming
say.
from. Yeah.
He knew exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah. Yep. So
Okay.
I'm. You
I
know,
just
I'm
love
not.
son.
Yeah.
I like open relationship though. So you would do an open relationship, maybe not on a threesome. You gotta talk about
I might
that.
do an open relationship. Again, this all
Okay.
depends on the dynamic and the relationship between me and my partner.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on what we have going on with each other, how we're fulfilling each other, and what our dynamic is for that to even be a conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, say we're in a position where I have a high sex drive, she has a low sex drive, and you said, babe, you know what? Like you said, you're dotting all the I's, crossing all the T's. I love you. I don't feel like you should have to go without sex or affection because I'm not with it. So I want to have an open relationship, at least on your end, so that you can be satisfied. Whether I made the decision to actually act on it is something completely different. But as far as having the conversation or acknowledgement, just like I talked about the toys and stuff like that, is that I know at some point in my life my sex drive is going to decrease. So if I'm in a committed relationship and I'm not able to physically please my lady either by myself or with toys or whatever, I'm not ignorant to the fact that she may go seek pleasure elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And if that ends up being the case, and everything else is good in our relationship, I would always rather know and have the option to fuck with you or not fuck with you than to be in the dark.
And that is interesting because I would think I would want to be present if it's going to happen.
You can do that too.
But you wouldn't. You're not cool.
I don't
with it.
know.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
I
So
wouldn't
that's
think
your.
so.
All right.
Because I'm not really into the cuckold shit, but.
Gotcha. Okay.
But you never know.
Open relationship. Is
No,
that something that
it's-
ever crossed your mind? No.
Never.
Never. Okay.
Not for me. It's I will have to control my my emotions and my urges before I would want to step out and hurt my significant other. To I committed myself to this relationship there, and for me it was just like I'm staying right there. As a man, as most men, our urges are always, for me, is always a lot higher than my woman's there. But for me, I wouldn't want to step out on there if I have to do something else to control that urge. I still want that until I'm ready to step out and go somewhere else. My commitment is to that.
But you're still committed to her. She's giving you the pass to be like, babe, if it's something I'm not doing, and you want it, you can go and get it.
Okay.
You're saying as a man, you probably won't act on it.
I'm completely satisfied with what I got, so I'm not going anywhere
Okay.
to look for anything else.
Open relationship ever something you would ever consider?
No, I think my testosterone levels is down. I just don't have the energy. I work 12 hours a day, and my best friend has been, like I said, masturbation, if it came to that point, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
After I bust that nut in the shower, it's,
In the shower.
the bed is right there. I don't have
Gotcha.
to, you know what I mean? I don't have to plan and hook up and put the energy in to go be with someone else. And
So you're good. What
But
about your partner who
that's what I'm saying.
missed out on
Because
that?
y'all
I'm not,
You
I'm
can't
not,
do that either, babe.
Not at all.
If I ain't willing, you just wait. Okay.
Nah.
All right.
No.
That was a good discussion. I like it. Do you guys sound very open and honest? Because I don't think anybody has chosen to really shush except this. For you guys as men, you're pretty comfortable then vocalizing your boundaries and your desires.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. You say
Well,
yes. Well, I'm gonna come to you.
You don't vocalize your boundaries?
Comfort. I asked about the
Sometimes.
comfort to do so.
Yeah. That's what I keep.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back to you because I feel like you got something to say. Comfortability with expressing to your woman, like, nah, I don't really like that, or yeah, maybe. Like, do you feel like you are ever in a position where you have to, shush on certain topics because of how it may impact them, and for the sake of not risking the relationship? Yeah, sex. I meant in terms of sex, but if you want to generalize it, we can.
Oh.
I don't think I think it really came down to the communication and outside of sex to get to that point of shushing or not. I believe for me it's never been always been open. Always been able to communicate. What I like, what I don't like. Let's do this. Let's do that. So being able to really say those being able to do that again, I think it backs up to your emotional aspect that you got with that person, and once you build that aspect, there probably would never be a shush, in my opinion.
Yeah. I bring that up. I know you guys got something to say, but I bring that up because I do some reading because I like reading about sex and stuff. Just feeding my own brain because, like I said, I enjoy it. I don't have a problem with it. And I find that I've read that men's sex drive is earlier, from 15 up to maybe like 20, 30. Women, we hit ours later in life. So when we're having that shift.
That's why I was saying what I was saying about the open marriage and stuff, and both, not to say anything against you gentlemen, but you guys were kind of coming from our current perspective, or us being the ones who are desiring more sex or wanting the open relationship for our benefit. I'm being a realist in that I realized later on in life, that sex drive is probably going to switch.
Reverses, yeah.
So now I'm clearly have spent time with and committed to someone that it's working and I'm happy with. So now they're not pleased sexually. What role am I going to play and what decision am I going to make as far as allowing her to still have our relationship and find pleasure versus not at all? And I really wish that women at a younger age would be open to that with men, because the dynamic does change, and a lot of times younger women aren't open to that futuristic concept, and likewise with younger men, they don't realize, hey, one day my shit might not work. You know what I'm saying? I know people personally that I've spoken to that have back injuries and shit like that, some of the veterans and stuff that I work with, where they shit don't work no more, and there's different pills and all that kind of stuff, but for the most, you know what I mean, like they shit really just don't get up no more. So if you're in a committed relationship with a woman, and you care about her, like really care about her, and things are good between you, where do you draw the line between, well, my shit don't work, so you just ain't fucking either? Because I don't think that's fair.
Okay, I agree.
That's just me.
Because a woman is going to get to the point where her appetite may be insatiable. She just wants it. And like y'all said, age, maybe physical conditions, mental desires, that changes. So what advice would you give someone, or what is your thoughts on just changing or shifting your perspective because of that reality in the reverse desire?
I can't answer that because that's a bridge I have yet to cross.
Okay.
So I'm just going to keep it.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. All right. All right. So I asked this to the ladies about revealing the number of sexual partners you had, and I keep coming back to this because I'm open and honest about my shit. What I did is what I did. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But should there be a modicum of modesty and reserve when it comes to sharing your sex count? And does it matter? Like, should guys be asking that? You smirking. I'm gonna go to Brandon first. So when it comes to a woman sharing number of sex partners she had, would you shush about it, or are you going to ask, or are you going to be quiet about it? Would you never ask, or would you ask? Would you shush or shout?
I would never ask. For me, I would never ask. That person, I understand she got a pass just like I got a pass there. So being able for us to build our emotional relationship and build our future, that really doesn't matter to me. I'm worried about what's happening today and what our future is going to look like in the future there.
Okay.
So I
You're not asking about it.
I'm not asking. I'm not emotional about it. I'm not this is where we're going to build from.
So it doesn't even matter to you.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter to me either. She has a pass. You understand what I'm saying? I'm a realist, and she wasn't waiting for me. You understand? And if this was a real thing, I would wish I could thank everyone in her past, because along that line, they taught her numerous of things to get
for
her
your benefit.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Beat me over. If I can call, if she still had their numbers, I will call them all and thank her, because they institute certain things into her that they liked, that she, you know what I mean?
Then okay.
So
all right.
it's a
So
benefit for me.
it's a benefit, and you don't need to ask.
Disease-free, more the merrier.
Okay. What's the last part you said?
Disease free.
The
More
more
if you're disease-free to me, the more you had, the merrier.
I like it. Okay. You want to know, cuz?
So.
Are you going to ask, or are you going to be quiet about it?
I'm not going to ask. So I feel like asking is like an egotistical part, but I will say, because I'm a freak, sometimes these conversations come up in the heat of the moment. Not like I want to know who you've been with, but just having conversation. And if the conversation does come up and we're open and sharing The issue that I end up having is if I know your past or I know your history, like a used car, for example. I don't want you trying to charge me a higher price for the same product that everybody else got for free, because that's a problem for me.
Okay.
I'm a numbers guy,
Okay.
and I'm a financial guy, and please don't charge me top dollar for some raggedy shit.
For some shit with high miles.
I'm just saying, please don't.
Okay. But are the mileage expected depending on the year of the vehicle?
They should be expected, and I don't.
But what if it's antique?
And I don't always. And I wouldn't say always. Most times, I wouldn't even assume that I'm getting the truth from women. First of all.
Okay.
But even if let's just play devil's advocate. Say I did get the truth. It's not important unless, again, you trying to charge me top dollar.
What the fuck does charging mean? She can't get expensive dinners instead of steak and lobster. She got to get chicken and French fries.
What I'm saying is, if you're going to be restrictive with me, and there's certain things that we aren't going to do, or you're going to hold me to certain standards, I want to know that you held everybody else in your life to those same standards. Don't wait till you get to me and be like, oh well, you're a good guy, so I want you to jump through this flaming ring and crawl over this broken glass to get to me for the same pussy that I gave everybody else for free. That's what I'm saying about it. Okay? Thank you.
Mic drop! Mic fucking drop! Alright, anybody got anything to say about that?
Just be fair. That's what I'm saying.
I ain't
I'm looking for equality.
Okay. Alright. So, does body count fucking matter or doesn't it?
No.
No, it doesn't.
No, as long as you're not overcharging me.
I like it, cuz.
The fuck?
You have something to say, Brandon?
No.
No? Okay. Alright, so now I want to get to something I think... Listen, cuz I'm not mad at that. I think that's fair. You know what I'm saying? I think it's fair. Absolutely.
I'm a realist.
Don't hold you to a higher standard. Like
That's
you
what
said,
I'm
I like
saying.
it. I
That's
think,
what I'm
yeah.
saying.
Okay. I just want to get to a couple miscellaneous questions because I think about the younger generation, the generation behind us. And this question is something women battle with different things. Like, we can have vaginal issues that doesn't necessarily mean a venereal or STD, but something like if she dushed one wrong time, you know, she'll get a bacterial infection. And that could lead to an odor or something like that, right? So if you had to speak to your sons or your nephews or, you know, the little person in the hood and they encounter a woman whose hygiene isn't the best when they're about to engage in sexual acts, A, should they say something? Do you or talk about it? Do you shush or shout? And then the flip side is that, would you continue to sleep with her anyway? You're going to bring it up? Okay, hold your thoughts. Just shush or shout, cuz.
I guess I learned from the last question. I gotta talk.
To her. So you're gonna say something to her about her hygiene.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, go ahead. How do you bring it respectfully, right?
Respectfully.
Because not like, bitch,
So-
your pussy stink.
Oh,
We ain't talking.
no.
But young
No, we
kids
be
would,
respectful.
and that's what I want them to.
No, definitely
Okay.
be respectful. If you're gonna bring it up again, we always talk dynamics. So, are you guys in a committed relationship, or is this just a sneaky link?
Both. Because it can happen.
Sneaky link, I probably wouldn't say nothing, but I would bail. I pulled the fucking
done that.
parachute
Okay.
before.
Okay.
I got
You
the fuck
out of
up out of there. I charged it to the game, left the hotel room, called it a day.
But you did. What'd you say? You did or you didn't say anything?
I didn't say
You
anything.
didn't say anything. It just went go.
It just got the
Okay.
fuck out of there.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So hold on.
But
Sticking with
dick
that.
discipline, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do
Okay.
it. Gotta have dick discipline.
It's a person you're just sleeping when you meet her at a hotel, and she's not so receiving. You gonna say anything?
Absolutely. You want to make sure that maybe she don't know. You understand what I'm
Okay.
saying? I mean, and she might think that's just a regular odor if she's used to it. You gotta let her know. I don't know if this is natural for you but this is making me very uncomfortable. I've done that. You understand what I'm saying? And she was very appreciative.
Okay.
She said, "Wow, all these other niggas never said nothing about it."
Okay. So that's
So
been
I
going
had
on for a while.
I had a respect thing with myself.
Mm.
You know what I mean? In order for me to sleep with you to a certain extent, you had to look a certain way and smell a certain way. So at the end of the day, I found it was incumbent upon me to let her know.
Let her know. Okay.
Absolutely.
It
I'm
was
gonna
your
share my
duty.
body with you. You're gonna share your body with me. At the very least,
I can keep it honest.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Keep
I
my
like
body
it.
with you.
Yeah, no, I kind of, it's being able to express that. If you took the time to come and indulge in this with me, I think I want to be able to let you know that something is going wrong with your body, because if it's not normal for you, it's I'm there, so let me be able to at least share that with you. And that's if you don't know, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I do think it's something that
It's important to communicate about.
very important.
Okay.
I
like
feel
that.
like if she's gonna go ahead and have sex with you, I don't think she would have sex with you. She knowing her stuff smell like that. No, or do they do that?
See, I wasn't.
Cause my temperature used to be. I used to do it in the car first, cause it ain't nothing like when they take them drawers off. The car is an incubator. It amplifies it. If
Right.
you pass my car test,
Wow,
that used to be me. You know what I mean?
no, I
was-
never thought of it like
and then I had
that.
a father who used to talk like ain't nothing like pussy when you have it in the car. You know what I mean? He used to, you know what I mean? So I took
The older hit you real quick.
Absolutely, that's how
Small
we gave it up.
confinement, yes.
That's how we
Okay.
gave it up. So if you passed my car test,
Yeah.
we was good. But it was, you know what I mean? And usually the time when it would stink and the car would smell, as soon as you took them things off, that's when we have the conversation. So
Is that not awkward after though?
But see, I gotta say.
You said you telling her and you bailing, so you don't.
No, I
need to
didn't
get-
tell her. I didn't tell her. I bailed.
he make up
Oh,
excuses.
you did tell
he
me.
used to lie.
So this was my
He
thing.
used to lie. Oh, I just got beat. Or my father.
No, listen.
Okay,
Listen.
come with it.
Full disclosure.
Full disclosure.
The way that
Don't
that
judge
shit
it either.
smelled, there was no conceivable way for me to think that she didn't know it was smelling like that.
Okay. Fair
So
enough.
I didn't even think that she. If I thought she didn't know or had even conceived that, I might have had a conversation. But I was like, "You trying to play me?" I took that shit personal. Like, you know, your shit out here smell like a bag of smashed assholes.
Carl, you just said you would be respectful.
I didn't say that to her. I told you I didn't say nothing.
Right, that's true. You didn't say. So you ain't telling her you out of
I told her
there.
my dog died.
Okay.
My dog kept paging me. I had to go.
There's humor in this, folks. Okay, but you asked for to distinguish between if it's somebody you're just sleeping
Absolutely.
with. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you're in a relationship with you,
Gotta have a conversation.
I saw so y'all seen those things where the pranks where the woman put like fish
Oh yeah.
foam down there,
no.
and then the
They
one guy
spray
sat. Yes, it
Yeah.
was a spray,
Oh,
and the one
yeah.
guy sat between her legs to get his hair braided,
it.
and he was like, he just kept. He's like, hey, you showered today? She's like, babe, yeah, I'm good. He's like, come on, babe, let's go get in the shower. She's like, no, honey, I'm good. Babe, we going to take a shower. He was not.
That's
He was
funny.
adamant.
He was
He was
adamant.
adamant.
That was
Yeah,
his
yeah,
lady.
yeah.
And he was like, so
And
I'm
see,
make right.
he didn't tell her, but he was like, we're gonna wash this shit off right
yes,
now.
Yes,
He
she
was like,
could
because that might be part of me. He was like, let's go clean up.
let's go clean up.
Yeah.
Yes. So, okay.
So he
all
didn't
right.
tell her, but he still was trying to remedy the
He
situation.
told her without telling her.
Yeah, that's tough.
But he didn't tell her.
He didn't
tell her.
verbalize it.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
Right.
Okay. That's fair then. All right, being honest. How would that conversation look like? For a young man who's like, yo, I've been in that situation and I don't know how to bring it up, and he might encounter it again. How do you begin to say that respectfully?
I counted again with the same woman.
No, maybe a different woman who has a similar issue, or maybe the first time and they
I like
haven't
the way-
encountered it.
I like the way that he said it before.
So what I would say, when you're communicating, there's something called, your intent and your impact.
Mm-hmm.
So just because you have good intentions on what you're saying to her, how does it impact her?
Mm-hmm.
So make sure that when you're wording it, make sure you're wording it in a way, and I mean, you just have to figure out what her communication language is that it impact her to say, okay, well before I come and see my man, I need to make sure that I wash and make sure everything is cleared up or whatever.
It's a one night stand.
Well, that's different there.
Right, I want you to say.
But if it's but I would still make sure my intention was impactful for her to for the next man she may encounter.
What did you say?
What would I say?
Yeah, if they like, yo, Brandon, how do I say it to her, man? I don't know the right words. How do I start her? I'll be like, hey, babe, pull your pants up. Like, what does that sound?
You could say, I find you very attractive because if I didn't, you and I wouldn't be in this position.
Mm-hmm.
And you say, I'm not a woman or anything like that, and I don't know these things, but during my certain encounters, this seems a little different. This smells a little different. I don't know, if it's an issue or if that's a regular thing for you, but I'm just, from my point of view,
Right.
from my standpoint, I'm not comfortable right now.
Okay.
You understand? Because this is kind of unique to me. on this type of odor. You know, and I'm not being respectful. I'm doing this because I care. You know what I'm saying? I care about myself. I care about you.
Okay, I like that. I'm sorry, you did go through that whole thing.
And to say that, I think even as a man, that's impactful for me to hear him say that, because it's just like, I know, you know what I mean. Hopefully she can receive that message to say, okay, this is something that I want to work on before the next time I do encounter another young man.
Okay.
Hopefully, like you said, you know, no matter what word you decide to use or what dialect you use, that doesn't mean they're going to receive it in a positive light and not take offense to it. So you can try as you may, but we can't determine how someone is going to perceive or whatever we project to them.
I like that. Thank you for highlighting that, because I didn't know who would be able to speak to that, but you did, and I appreciate
absolutely.
that. So then I'm going to direct this one to you, and then the last and final question to you. You could comment, of course, because I think...
Shut the fuck up.
No. That just means that I want to...
I'm playing with you.
Oh, okay. Men are often criticized for the size, the length of time they can go, how well they perform. Do you think, like, what are things that women may lack that guys would like women to be aware of? Like, you know, you ain't the cat's meow either, honey. You could do X, Y, and Z. I know a lot of pressure is put on men to, you know, be that head honcho, that man dingo in the bedroom, and that's just not reality for a lot of people. But do you think there are things that women lack that impact a man's sexual pleasure that females could pay attention to?
I don't sexually. I couldn't really answer that question. For me, it's more of you know, just paying attention to details. You know, details and the things that I like, what I don't like, and being able to you know, capitalize on those details. So it's not one specific thing that I could really say that, hey, if you work on this, everything's going to be better. So it's really just the details as the relationship goes on, and as the sexual chemistry involved, you'll be able to pick up on those things.
So paying attention to your partner and what their pleasure is, and maybe what their discomforts are, and then playing up on that.
Absolutely, and as time evolves, you know, you have to realize that you know, some of these intricate things changes. So as I get older, you know, I may like my feet rubbed before we do it. You know what I mean? And different aspects there. So just being to pay attention to details.
Like this, Scoop. You had something that?
No, that was
Perfectly stated, right?
Okay.
Anything you want to add?
Self-awareness. There's a lot of talk, you know, and obviously it's not all personal experience. Some of it is from you know, talking to other people or from social media and things of that nature. But there's a lot of onus, like you said, put on men with big dick energy or little dick energy and all those kinds of things. And I never ever heard one woman or even conceive of a woman saying that they pussy ain't A1 or they don't got the sloppy toppy Glock 3000. And everybody ain't holding like that. I just
Right.
put it out
That's
there.
exactly.
Ladies, I'm sorry to break the news to you, but everybody's not a porn star. Thank you.
God, I'm sorry. It shouldn't be as funny as it is, but your
I'm dead
delivery
serious.
definitely. I know you are.
Dead serious.
Thank you.
They-
But
they-
that needs to be said,
It
right?
does,
Because
because
chicks
the
do be
ladies
like,
are out
my
here
shit
talking-
fire.
No, it's not.
Right.
It's really not, though. And it comes standard on every model. That's the other thing about it. They just out here everywhere. So, as special as you think yours may be,
It's not unique, huh?
it's not unique. It's
I
really
like
not.
it. I think
And that's
the
why I
dose
need
of
the
reality.
connection with the person, because everybody's
That
out here.
enhances it, though,
Yeah,
right?
That's what makes it.
That's what makes
That's
it.
what
I
makes
love
it.
it. I love it. So to you, what the ladies talked about what men can do to enhance a woman's sex drive and sexual pleasure. We talked about the candles, running the bubble bath, taking a task off their list. The ladies' opinion was that. For you guys, what can women do? It's probably going to be a little repetitive and a conclusive kind of thing, but like to increase sexual pleasure, stimulation, and chemistry. Does moaning, or does being adventurous, or does being spontaneous, does all that play a part in? And what would be your advice to a woman who wants to know how she can enhance her sexual pleasure in the bedroom with her male?
I would start with respect, patience, and cooperation. And again, it all depends on the person, but for me, because I'm a pleaser, I react heavily off of my partner's pleasure or perception of pleasure. Like, you could be having the time of your life, but if you're quiet and I can't read or pick up on it, whether you're being vocal about it or even just the response of your body, then it's not really going to do anything for me. So I'm keen on knowing that you're enjoying yourself, and then I can enjoy myself. Because like Scooby was saying, I take the responsibility on myself. to provide your pleasure. So if you're not being pleasured, I'm gonna try and figure out why or why not, and try, you know what I mean, but I have a hard time receiving pleasure if I don't think you're being pleasured.
Anything to add to that? Anything to add to that?
No, I love what he just said. You know, a lot of people say happy wife, happy life, and you got to realize it's like some men take it as a perception. It's just like, oh well, she get everything she wanted, I don't get nothing, and it's just like, no, you have to realize that when she gets everything you want, it's pleasuring me. It's but that's my pleasurability. So once I know that you're happy, that's my total stimulation. Like I don't even need to have sex right there because that sets me over the edge.
Yeah. I like it.
The danger with that though is that I don't think a lot of people realize that there's a quality of woman that you can pour into like that and receive back what you're looking for, because everybody's not built for that and everybody's not qualified.
So the woman could be getting all that he just mentioned and still
falling
benefit you
short
anymore.
because she's not the right woman, or whatever the case may be, or even the relationship just don't match. You know what I mean? And I've seen that too, where guys will pour everything they have into the relationship and it doesn't work because they're just not a match.
Okay.
Well, for me, I don't have a quota on love. So my characteristic trait is exactly what he just said. I get the pleasure off of me being me. So if I lay rose petals at the bed every day for you, if I massage you every day, if I do everything I can do to make sure you're good, that's my pleasure. Majority of the time, I don't need it back. It may sound inhumane, but it is, because at the end of the day, I'm in my relationship not because of how someone treats me. It's because how I feel about that someone.
Wow. Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So if I'm doing everything I want to do because it satisfies me, who I am as a man, would it be nice for her to reciprocate it? It would be nice, but it also would be extra in my book, because at the end of the day, my pleasure comes from giving her pleasure.
Wow.
I clean, I do what I can do, I straighten up. You know what I mean? Once time my boss said, you sound like a good housewife, but this is what I take pleasure in. Am I doing it to make her happy? Yes, but I also do it to make me happy, because I know what I'm doing to treat her in a certain capacity. That's what gives me pleasure.
Sound like a very selfless partner and lover. That's
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I'm doing that for me. It's to her, it's for her, but it's really for me.
right. You're benefiting from it, but you're not looking to get anything from it.
And if she
That's
was to
deep.
if she was to give it back, I mean, not
Will
saying
be
she
extra.
don't, but
Right, right.
you know what I mean.
Right.
Yeah, in generally speaking. Yes.
It would be great. It would be extra. But I'm not doing it for reciprocity. I'm not doing it for reciprocation. I'm doing it because this is exactly who I am.
Yes.
There's a lot of relationships where, in my relationship with friends, I'm a better friend than them than they are to me. But I do it because when I give you what I give you, it ain't because I want it back. I'm giving it because I have the ability to give it, and I know it will change your outcome or whatever it is you need from me. I'm not expecting nothing back, and that's the basis and the foundation of most of my relationships. Outside of these two,
Yeah.
but most of my relationship is very one-dimensional, and it's been like that for a duration of my life, where I'm the only one that always gives, but I'm okay with that. Does
Wow.
it drain me? Yeah, because I'm a human. But that's the dynamic and the paradigm I know I reside in, and I attest to accepting that as my position. You understand?
Yeah.
Yes, it can be dangerous to a certain aspect, but if you understand and know what exactly you're dealing with, you kind of can control the outcome on how you feel,
Yeah.
not how they act,
Right.
but how you feel.
You're not letting their lack of reciprocity define who you are.
As an alligator trainer, I'm not getting mad when an alligator bites me, because I understand the paradigm of my relationship with that alligator. You understand
Okay.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, what advice would you give a young man that's pouring in like that, and he's a pleaser, and he finds pleasure because he's doing some of the things that you gave an example of, but he didn't choose well, or even the analogy of alligator trainer. If you're a good trainer, maybe you should train birds or something that don't fucking bite. You know what I'm
They're
saying?
not
Like,
training, but I know what comes with that territory.
right. If you choose to go,
So if it's a young man that's pouring into a young woman and he's not getting nothing, in return, that means he's not doing it for the pleasure of doing it because he likes to do it. He's doing it for something in return.
no, it doesn't.
Why doesn't it mean that?
You said he's not getting the return. You didn't say that he's doing it for the return. You just said that he's not getting the return because you might be doing it for all pure intentions.
You just
and
said,
still
what
not,
advice would you give a young man
who
who's
chose
doing
poorly.
it, And what shows poorly, this comes from the ideology of what his expectation is out of that relationship.
Mhm.
So if you see him doing that, he's not getting what he's getting in return. You might say that's a poor choice.
Mhm.
So it sounds like he's speaking to a person who's doing it and is pleased that he's doing it, but he also wants a little bit in return.
But
Right,
I'm not
he's not
talking about that
having a
person.
You're not talking about that person,
Right,
but
so
he's
I can't
asking
give-
you, so you can't open up a little bit and give a perspective for that person who's going through that?
No, I
No.
don't have no advice for that.
That's fair. All right. You have anything to say to the person that's giving, enjoys giving, but also wants to receive, and they're not receiving?
I mean, at the end of the day, you may want to. I mean, no, never mind.
Let's just say something simple like respect. So you're pouring into this relationship and you're not even getting bare bones respect that this person gives to their parents or gives to their boss or gives to their children.
Well, the advice I would give to him, then at the end of the day, if you with somebody that disrespects you, you don't need to be with that person.
Okay.
At the very least,
Good
you can
advice.
get his respect.
Good advice.
At the very least, that's the bare minimum. But then we have to understand what's respect and what's the levels of respect. Because you can have a woman that treats you pretty fairly in your face, but behind your back, she's doing whatever she's doing.
That's
And if you
disrespect.
don't, you never know about it,
Yeah.
then that's not disrespect.
But hold on, y'all going into the next time. I want to have y'all back. Remember, I told y'all I want to talk about chivalry and what it looks like to
Absolutely.
all that shit. Because I want, what is it? Does a man want peace? Does he want comfort? Does he want respect? And that's a whole other segment. And I'm gonna have you guys back for that
Okay.
because
All right.
I think it's important for women to hear that. And good stuff. This was amazing, and I think it started off tense, but we got to where we needed to be. And I love that you touched on exactly what you touched on, because even as a black female, I had the same perspective as you. Why do we overly sexualize ourselves? And why do we put so much emphasis on sex when it's only a small piece
Yes, ma'am.
of who we are and what we should
That's
contribute?
all I was saying.
Right.
I got that.
The
I
only time
totally
this
got
can
that.
be a big part is in a relationship. Outside of that, it's minute.
And this is what, and this segment was mainly about, I always think from a relationship perspective, but I also know that there's people who engage in casual sex every day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of these things could transcend over those different pieces, whether you're dating, whether you're just hooking up, or whether you're in a long-term relationship.
I personally don't think casual sex exists, but we can call it whatever people want to call it.
Okay.
Because it's such a big decision when you go into that, whether you're talking the ramifications of diseases or our children, you know what I mean? Because when people play games with sex, the person loses the child. So I don't think anybody should take having intercourse with someone lightly. I don't think it should be taboo to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it should be taken as a joke or taken lightly.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we just smashed, or it's a situationship, and all these different terms that are thrown out there, because it's a really serious thing.
Yeah, I agree.
That's somebody's daughter. That's somebody's son.
Mm-hmm.
How many people think like that though? Are we being realistic here?
Sure.
Yeah, I think,
There's
7
people that actually
billion
think
people
like
in the world.
Right.
They all ain't gonna think like you. Look how many different opinions
like
we have
a
in
lot
this
of casual
couch.
sex. We just hit almost 8 billion people.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That
Yeah.
sounds good.
But just because you're not married doesn't make it casual sex. You could be in a committed relationship without being married.
Yeah, but I thought casual sex when you just sleeping with whoever.
That's how I determined.
That's what it is.
defined it.
And I'm saying that it shouldn't be termed that because it's an extremely important and possibly life altering decision. So there's nothing casual
But
about
people
having
are
sex with
having
someone.
it.
Oh, I know they're having it,
Oh.
but I don't think it should be labeled casual sex because
Gotcha.
there's nothing casual about it.
Okay, all right.
Absolutely not.
I can determine,
Yeah.
Condoms. I real quick, if y'all having sex, protect yourself. Too many people engage in sexual encounters and they are not using the proper protection. They think that the pull-out method works, or they think that they could just go get plan B, and it's just, protect yourself, because you never know what somebody have, and they're not always going to tell you if they have it. Any final thoughts before we close this out, fellas?
I just want to say thank you for having us. This was amazing. I enjoy it here every time, and I'll be back.
All right, thank you. Thank you for
I
joining
want to
us.
tell you, Vi, thank you so much for having us. I look forward to another segment with you again, and I think for all the viewers out there, this is an amazing podcast, and please tune in because I think it's a lot of great lessons here that can be sold off from all the great youth out there, and married couples as well.
Yeah. All right.
Well, my last saying is that the lips of wisdom is closed for those that don't have the ears to hear it.
I like it. Thank y'all for tuning in on another segment of Mentally Speaking. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with us, and we appreciate you guys. Peace.
Peace.